Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6, I think it is, of season 2. We just finished the end of the season. We had a good year. I didn't make a post trade deadline video. I didn't do a whole lot in the trade deadline. Just some, maybe like, I wanted to try and do some prospect. What's the word I'm looking for? Not combination, but that kind of idea where consolidation, prospect consolidation. But it didn't really happen. I didn't really add too much. I didn't subtract too much from what I already had done. And to be honest, in every year I've played this game, this was actually the least amount of trade deadline um, management I think I've done. But let's get through it. Let's get through how the standings shook up. We finished 3 ahead of the Braves. We won 98 games. We lost 64. That's a 605 winning percentage. Let's go to expanded. We had a great season. We had the highest run differential in baseball, tied with the Rays. We were good at home, elite at home, actually. We were below 500 on the road, which is kind of scary. 10 and 8 in extra innings, 32 and 25 in one-run games. Really good before All-Star and after All-Star. Great against lefties, good against righties. We ended this season on a 7-3 tear, which is nice. We were tied with the Braves going into like the last like 2 weeks of the season, and then we just kind of took off from there. We won our seasons or our last series of the year 2-1 against them, and that really helped. It was clinched by this win clinched it, or this win clinched it. So then this game I played the bench, which was nice. But anyway, so we are the top seed in the National League. We have the Nationals and the Braves as wild card teams, which is kind of cool. The 3 teams from the NL East made wild cards or division, so made the playoffs. The Dodgers and the Cardinals are playing in the other wild card game, and the winner of that game gets to play the Padres. In the American League, the Twins and the Rays got byes. The Guardians play the Orioles, and the Yankees play the Rangers. The Orioles were having a good season, and I think they tailed off pretty hard. Yeah, so April was good, and then after July, August, September, they were under 500. So they built up early in the season, and then they really tailed off. But they still won 90 games, and unfortunately, this Rays team was just so good that they couldn't really do anything about it. Let's look at the Rays because they had. We'll get into the Mets, but I want to check them out. Wander Franco had an elite season. He hit 345, 21 home runs, 116 RBI. I'm not an RBI guy, but I still think when you get up to that like over 100 number, that's still very indicative of a season. This pitching staff looked great. Christian Lopez. I don't think I've ever seen this dude before. He was a high A player. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick. This is his career pitching stats. He pitched 7 innings at rookie ball at age 25. Then he pitched 13 innings at high A that same year. Then he pitched 7 1/3 innings at triple A. And then came up, made his major league debut this year. He pitched 148 innings, started 26 games. He had a 2.42 ERA, 226 strikeouts, and 148 innings. This is a Rays development incredible success. That's absolutely insane. That stuff from a starting pitcher is wild. I don't know where this dude came from. He was a independent ball guy. He got cut and then signed a 1-year minor league deal with the Rays, and then he just popped. That's crazy. Good for you, Christian Lopez. So he helped lead that pitching staff. Shane McClanahan had a great season, and I guess Shane Baz had a good season too. Bullpen is always elite in Tampa Bay, so good for them. Yankees finished just over 500, which I don't remember what we predicted, but I think that was right around what preseason predictions were. So, and they still made a wild card, which is funny enough. But anything can happen in the playoffs. Like if we get swept, Where is it? Playoff tree. If we get swept in the division series, I won't be surprised. But let's hope that doesn't happen. So let's get to our team. Let's go through the pitching staff. Shohei had a great pitching season. He was so good. He had 5 WAR, a 175 ERA plus, a 72 FIP minus. Just elite season for the more traditional numbers. 2.29 ERA, 217 strikeouts. If he doesn't win a Cy Young, I will be very surprised that anybody had a better season than that. Zach Wheeler, also a great season. Really good, really nice 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation. Jose Quintana only pitched 87 and 2/3 innings. He had 12 starts and 37 games pitched as kind of a swingman, but he was really good. He would like these rate numbers are just as good, if not better, than Otani's, right? So his FIP was higher significantly. So maybe some luck from the defense, but I want to say he's also a ground ball pitcher anyway. Oh, at least he was. So, uh, great season from Quintana in short sample size. I think we sign up for that. And I always think it's cool. He has 12 starts and 13 saves, which is funny. Edwin Diaz, 86 innings, 65 games. He was worth 2 WAR himself. So between Quintana, Diaz, and Crochet, these main bullpen pieces we predicted early, they had all great seasons. They combined for over 6 WAR, which we really love. Diaz did it with strikeouts. His ERA was low, his FIP was low. He's probably going to win reliever of the year. And again, if he doesn't, I would be really surprised. Maybe somebody with like a 50 save season or something like that, because he only finished with 13. There's the dog scratching again, if you can hear that in the background. So really good season from Crochet as well. 71 innings, 2 WAR. His ERA was 1.77. His FIP was 2.63. So if you notice, these FIP numbers are usually higher than the ERA, which I think is a product of really good defense behind them. Kodai Senga had a rocky season, to say the least. He got hurt in the middle. He had a 5-2. I don't know why the scope just keeps like messing up. Yeah, so okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Quintana, some of his numbers were from AAA. Put up 1 WAR in AAA and the minors in rehab. So, not as good a season for him. Still great for Diaz and Crochet. They never got demoted. Senga was not great. He pitched out of the bullpen. He got hurt. He had starts. He had a 5.26 ERA, a 4.93 FIP. He wasn't good starting. He wasn't good in the bullpen. We slotted him as the 4th starter, but really this is going to be like a bullpen game. He's going to have a quick hook for this 4th spot. Going back up, Yoendris Gomez had a great season. So this bullpen was a really nice. Everybody pretty much was a nice weapon for us this season. So he was really good in the back end of the bullpen. Morejon was good, not great, just above average, but bullpens are fickle, right? So this is a good season from him, and he's still under control for next season. We did trade for a few relievers from San Francisco, which was a little cheesy, but they went for it, so I'm not gonna ding it too much. We got Camilo Doval from the Giants. He pitched in 30 innings for us. He was stellar as expected. And then we also got Taylor Rogers, who had an elbow injury. He had a torn UCL, so he'll be back for next season, like around June. But I got them to retain everything. So really, it's just a flyer on a formerly elite left-handed reliever for next season at a $0 price point, who starts the season on the 60-day IL. So it doesn't take up a 40-man spot either. So that was a good flyer. It was a good trade. I didn't really give up anything of value. Nabil Crismat went to San Francisco. They had him starting. He was much worse in San Francisco. He was good for us, but he was much worse. And I thought, that's pretty good value if we could get from mainly Nabil Crismat, this 25-year-old first base prospect at A-ball, and a couple higher round draft picks. I do enable draft pick trading. I usually just limit it to draft pick for draft pick, But in this scenario, I thought that the opportunity to get them these two relievers was too great not to. And so I will occasionally throw in these draft picks to get a deal done, so I don't have to give up prospect capital. Uh, just for thought. I also think that major league teams should be able to trade their draft picks anyway. That's just the stance I have, so why not enact it in the game? Max had a slightly above average season as a starting pitcher for us. He only pitched 108 innings, 26 starts. He had a short leash, excuse me. When he did pitch, he wasn't very good when he did pitch. The tail end of Max's career is here, I think. At $43 million, I think we knew that this was a distinct possibility, and we're not going to think ahead to next season, but we will have a decision to make on him. Bryce Montes de Oca was pretty okay. His ERA was much higher than his FIP because he walks a lot of guys. He had a 16% walk rate, which like highly offsets his 30% strikeout rate. But still a pretty good season for him. I don't expect he will be pitching very many high leverage innings for us in the postseason, but he's still a useful arm that we're going to keep around. We traded for Chris Bassett. The Blue Jays just wanted to get rid of him. So we got Bassett. We got this 20-year-old outfield prospect for nothing, really. They really just wanted Bassett off their roster. So we got Bassett for this season and next. He's also free. I like having those, especially when we're like capped out, getting those free pitchers like we got with Rogers and Bassett. So that way we can, you don't lose anything by keeping them other than the roster spot. And really, as long as they don't stay negative value, that's still a positive asset in my head. We hit Senga. McGill was not what we were expecting this season. He pitched 50 less innings. He had much worse rate stats. He had much worse conventional stats. His homer per nine is up to 1.5. His walk per nine is slightly up. His strikeouts are down. His BABIP was higher. His WAR was lower. So overall, a disappointing season, I think, for Tyler McGill. But I think, we still have hope in that middle of the bullpen. He is a setup man right now, which is fine. And he's still only arbitration eligible this season. So not what we wanted, but I think we did a good job of adjusting, and getting that big step up from Crochet really helped, and getting Doval in the back, that bumped him down less high leverage innings for him towards the end of that season. So that's a pitching staff. I think we're missing some guys down in AAA that pitched for us. Baseball. Jose Buto pitched 36 innings for us. He was slightly above positive. I think that's also good for him. He was in the bullpen for a little bit. He was starting a couple games, and from that swingman type, that's really all I can ask for. So Bucky pitched 10 innings. He had a high ERA but a low FIP. He was pretty good for us. When we needed a left-handed reliever, he only pitched 10 innings, but those were useful 10 innings. Arrighetti just got demoted to AAA when he came off the injured list. He was not very good, but they have him starting right now. This is a reliever profile for me, and also the scouting accuracy is not very high. And then Huascar Ynoa was angry that he was down in AAA for most of the season. I pulled him up for 8 innings, I think. At the major league level, 5.6 ERA, nothing special, nothing great. So that was pitching. We're missing some guys. We're missing some guys that are probably up at the major leagues, just not on the playoff roster. Or maybe they're injured, who knows. Junior Santos pitched 2 1/3, got hurt, put him on the IL. So not great for a 23-year-old starting pitching prospect, but we'll expect more next season. Verlander tore his UCL, so he is out for all of next year, which is really disappointing. He also had a disappointing season this year. He only pitched 72 innings. He was worth 1 WAR in those 72 innings. Multiply that by his average of about 200 innings. That's a 3 WAR season from Verlander. That's a good season, right? If we get 3 WAR out of him, but um, not what we expected given off his unanimous Cy Young season last year. So he's out for all of next year. If he doesn't retire, I'd be surprised. He does have a team option for 35 million that I'm sure will decline. And then Taylor Rogers we hit. Who? Okay. Matt Allen came up and pitched some games for us. He pitched 25 innings. He had 5 starts. He was on a really short leash. He only would go, like 4 innings, 4 innings. He was in the bullpen for these two. Fine cameo, I guess. His BABIP was a little high, so it's hard to kind of anticipate what you would have been. But with potentially Max and Verlander vacating rotation spots, I think he's probably due for a step up next season. Peterson was only pitched 18 innings for us this season, which is not what we expected after his 2023, where he was really good. His numbers were fairly similar. He was just down in AAA most of the season, and this control is kind of settled in at 40. So I don't know what we're going to get from him. He's already 29. He wants 3.4 in arbitration this season. I have no idea what's going to happen, but he's a question mark at the very least. We traded for Mackenzie Gore. This was part of my prospect consolidation. I got an 8th round pick and Gore from Washington for Eguy Rosario. He wasn't really doing a whole lot for us. He got hurt. He's got good ratings. Like all this green is really nice. But we just didn't really have a whole a whole lot of playing time available for him. So I figured we'd take a flyer on a 25-year-old starting pitching prospect who could be a good reliever. Even he pitched in 8 games. He had 2 starts. He pitched 20 innings. He had an ERA of 7. Excuse me. So not great, but not good either, or not bad either. Given these WAR totals, he was slightly above average for the season. So I hope we get better next year, but he's also, at the very least, a lefty specialist / starting pitching depth. Trey McLaughlin, we signed to a minor league deal. Kind of forgot about him, to be perfectly honest. He was pitching at high A for most of the season. He bumped to AA, then AAA. Then I called him up at the end of the season for 1 2/3 innings, I think, in the last game of the season. Yep. Pitched great. He's going to be a bullpen weapon for us next season. Jose Diaz, we talked about. All these guys, I think we talked about. All these pitchers. Right, so that's the pitching staff. The lineup was led by Lindor, who definitely tailed off from that crazy pace, but he's still at a 127 OPS plus and OPS of almost 8. He had a really good season. He had 26 bombs. He had 30 doubles, 167 hits. He played 157 games. He put up 8 WAR. I think it's going to be him and Ohtani for MVP, but don't quote me on that. That's what I would vote. Ohtani himself put up 5 pitching WAR and 4 batting WAR for a 9 WAR season. He hit 34 bombs. He had 26 stolen bases. He was pretty much everything we could have expected. Numbers a little low from his LA years, 147 OPS, 142. The home runs were in line with 2 years ago, less than the season prior. He pitched in 100 or played in 150 games at bat at DH. I did have him play a little right field when somebody got hurt. I think Marte. He only played 2 games in right. He had 16 innings. He was minus 0.3 zone rating, which is fine. Very short sample size. So we got our money's worth at 22, $23 million, and then that bumps up the next few seasons. But that's a really good return on investment, I think, from Ohtani. And we skipped Mr. Pete Alonso, and the big number we're here to talk about is that 52 home runs. He had a 50 piece, which is really, really cool. His OPS plus was 156. So I really think that we have 3 guys that could finish 1, 2, 3 in MVP with Pete, Shohei, and Lindor. So 3 great seasons from them. This was totally worth the contract we gave him, and he's also only made $16 million this year. So the return on investment on these guys, at the very least this season, has been stellar. Brett Beatty, great season, 118 OPS plus, 2.4 WAR in his second season. He has defensive versatility, but he's mainly our third baseman, and we signed him to a pretty big contract. We gave him a 162 over 12, which is like I think it's like a 15-16 million dollar AAV until his age 36 season, which if it doesn't work out is easily movable. But I've been trying to get these young guys locked up for a while, a long time, to keep them in contract. And I know I'm jumping around here, but speaking of young guys, Alvarez had a very disappointing season. Very, very disappointing. His OPS plus was 80. He hit only 20 home runs in 136 games. It was not the middle of the order type season from him. He hit under 200, 286 on base, 339 slug. So not the season we expected, not the season we wanted to see after giving him that big extension. But he's still only 22. His catcher defense really shot up there. Still got pop, still got a good eye, but if this contact and avoid case can't get better, then might have some issues. Marte, perfectly above average season. Not a whole lot to say there. He played in most of the games. Beatty got hurt. He only played in 105. I forgot that. Siani, 1.2 WAR with a 65 WRC plus and a 72 OPS plus. So he's really just that stellar, absolutely fucking crazy defensive outfielder. So he's pretty much penciled in, or sharpied in center field most days. Mason Wynn came up, played in 47 games, put up 1.2 WAR. His batting line was great. His defense at second was good. This is kind of the guy that we thought we were going to get. And what I think the plan for next season is play him all over the place, play him everywhere on the field, get him some experience in every outfield position, and play 7 days a week at 7 different spots. Vientos put up 1 WAR. The bat was not as good as I was hoping for, but still pretty good. He's still only 24 too. He had 20 bombs. He had an OPS plus of 113. 1 WAR, playing in first and second and third and left and right. Not so much second, but he kind of played all over. His fielding probably wasn't great. He was really bad in the outfield, but above average at first and third. And I think with more experience, he'll be better in the outfield than this, because he only has a 40 and a 30 right now. So with one more spring training, he'll be fine in those corners. We traded for Kike Hernandez, who had a bad bat for us, but he had that versatility as a bench player, which I liked. We just traded, I think, 1-for-1 for Justin Turner. Sent him over to Chicago. He was not great for Chicago either. He wasn't good for us. He wasn't good for Chicago. But we can hopefully get him his ring if we win. But Kike is a good bench bat. And he's expiring after this season. Tomas Nido put up almost 1 more. He was more valuable than Alvarez in 48 games. He was much better. His bat was better. I don't think that's sustainable, but he was the better hitter and probably the better defender. Probably should have played more, but I'm good having him back up. So, but it makes it a tougher question next season. He's an expiring contract. But we have Parada down in AAA, who's probably going to be the backup catcher next season. He had a good season. We'll hit him. Jeff McNeil, 128 games, 0.1 WAR. His WRC plus and OPS plus were 82 and 86. He didn't get on base. He didn't hit for power. Didn't play defense very well. He did not have a good season. He lost a lot of playing time, and we need more. Otherwise, we might look to move off of this money as he continues to have his apparent decline. William Lugo, another top prospect, didn't really hit well in his cameo, but again, he's only 22. He's versatile. He can kind of play everywhere. He'll be useful for us in the foreseeable future. Down in AAA, Nick Gordon never came back up for us. Alex Ramirez got his cameo. He had such a good season. He started the year in AA. He wrecked AA. Then he wrecked AAA. So at the end of the year, I think Nimmo got hurt. So we had him come up. We had him play. He only got in 2 games. I started him on the game that didn't matter, game 162. He went over 4, which is fine, right? But he is probably going to be a bigger part of the future than I was originally anticipating. And then we had Ronnie Mauricio, who also got a cameo. He was really good in AAA this year, but not good in the major league level, so he probably needs a little bit more time down there. Um, so he also plays everywhere. He's a captain. He's a useful player, but we need to see more probably next season. Alberto Osuna had a good time at AA, struggled at AAA, which is fine. Good power. We probably were a little aggressive with him, but I knew we were going to do that. Top prospect ish type guy. So we'll see how he plays. And Parada had a good season at AAA. He's angry he's not in the majors. I probably should have given him a call up, but I guess a little too late. He can play catcher first and the corner outfielder. He'll probably be our backup catcher next season, if all things go according to plan. Uh, Austin Hedges never got the call up. I think he was angry about that. Yeah, he was angry about that. Well, when you're hitting 183, 272, 307, and my regular catchers are all healthy, then there's not a whole lot of value there. Going to the injured list slash guys that are not on. Yeah, Nimmo was out with plantar fasciitis. He's a fragile injury proneness. He had a god awful season. Even though the WAR says 1.3, he was so bad for most of the year. His bat just disappeared. I think playing him in 140, he was just like a defense only type guy. He wasn't even really getting on base that much. Not what we kind of wanted. And if we get another season like this one next year, he might be relegated to fourth outfield, as all of the fake Mets fans had been saying for years. He might actually finally be a fourth outfielder for us. Yeah, not good season from him. So he's hurt. So that for the playoffs, let's go. Did I miss anybody? Um, any hitters that should have been mentioned? We hit Mason Wynn. Oh, Pache came up at the end of the year just for he got 6 at bats, which I was kind of annoyed at because why would you give Pache 6 at bats, um, and not Alex Ramirez? So anyway, he got 1 start, I guess, at the end of the year. When I played, that's my favorite type of game actually. When they don't matter, you can kind of do whatever you want. You can get a look at the young guys. Pache was claimed on waivers from Philly. Special defensive outfielder. Uh, Awful hitter. Like he's got a 60 in the wrong, like easily the least valuable type of batting attribute. But yeah, he was whatever. And that's I think the end of the line for guys that contributed, other than guys that were like DFA'd at some point. I don't think any of these guys came up and played. But yeah, that's the recap. I think next episode we'll go through playoffs. We'll we'll play through that, and yeah, that's the end of the season. So we're looking forward to it. We get to play the winner of playoff tree. We get to play the winner of this NL East battle. So it's whoever gets this is it's 2 straight series of NL East baseball, which is kind of fun. But yeah, that's the end of the season. We'll fix our playoff roster in the next episode. We'll play through the playoffs and we'll get into the off season and hopefully we can win a World Series. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.